everyone, I'm Keen947, aka Wolfkeen, and welcome to another edition of a Wolf's Word Special. Now today on a Wolf's Word Special, I want to talk about something for a minute. I've been reading news posts, I've been looking at YouTube channels and videos about some of the newest news that just came out. Now none of it I ever felt like talking about because they're mainly subjects that I really don't care about. Not that I don't care about them, but they're not enough that, I want to talk about them in depth. Like, one of them was, basically, this grandmother's grandchild basically allowed her to have her final, she wanted to walk, walk through, a sunny day and stuff like that because she's too old and, ill in order for her to do that. So her grandchild actually used the Oculus Rift to allow her to experience that one last time before she passed away. Then you have another story where a kid basically saved up $400 to buy a PS4, and instead he put that $400 to buying smoke detectors for the entirety of the town. He even volunteered with the fire department to help install all these smoke detectors. And then we have this story, which was covered by the news, about, about basically these two friends were rivals to each other in Call of Duty Ghosts. Now after this kid lost to his friend, he called the SWAT team. Like, he called the police saying that this kid killed his mother and his father. I need someone to head over to his house and do something about it. And the SWAT team was called in to take care of the situation. And you want to know the best part of it all? The first two situations were never covered on national TV, but the third situation was covered on national TV. That's one. Number two, when the third subject was covered on national TV, they decided to put it in the comment, does video games make people violent? And they even asked the kid, do you get angry playing Call of Duty? Do you get angry playing games? And he's like, yes, I do. I get very angry playing this game. As a matter of fact, I think I'm going to stop playing this game for a little while. So basically, the news channel decided to add that little jibe in there, basically trying to play into the effect of video games make people violent. I've got a few things to say real quick. Why is it that bad news stories end up on the news, but good news stories never end up on the news? Do you notice that, guys? Like, especially when it comes to gaming. Have you noticed that when it comes to gaming, like, bad stuff always ends up on the news, but good stuff never ends up on the news? It's like, it's always happening that way. The thing is that our generation, of news and stuff like that, are trying to prove the theory that video games induce violence and are not a good thing for everyone of this day and age. And so, this leads to the news channel is basically only covering bad stories when it comes to video games and stuff like that. I've seen it. I've been on the news I've seen the news so many times. I have not seen one positive video game story. Not one. Every single video game story I hear of always leads to something like, oh, this guy tried to murder his family after they took away his video games. Oh, this kid called the SWAT team because he lost to his friend and it made him angry because of video games. Oh, this kid got killed because he had a Wiimote and it looked like a gun, all thanks to video games. Like, they only cover the bad stuff when it comes to video games and never cover the good stuff. You want good examples of the good that video games come through? How about the fact that this grandmother's grandchild decided to let her relive her, have her final wish, her dream of walking, of just going on a simple walk that she can't do anymore because of her old age, using the Oculus Rift? Or how about this kid who had $400, 9 years old. He's 9 years old. He saved up $400 to buy a PS4, and he said, I'm not going to get the PS4. I'm going to buy smoke detectors for everybody in the town. That kid is freaking amazing for doing that, and yet that wasn't covered by the news? They're like, nope, it's not worth it. It's not worth it to be on the news. And then how about this story where 400 gamers decided to do a food drive. Like, they decided to play games, 400 gamers, they decided to play games to raise food for the homeless and the hungry, and they succeeded really well, nearly raising about half a million pieces of food. And when the town tried to get this to the news, they tried to get this, posted on the news and stuff like that, like actually aired on the news channel said no. It really makes me wonder if, you know, our generation is picking and choosing just because. I don't like this, because it really makes it out that the amount of news stories that they bring out, they make it as, like, video games is this generation's evil. I don't get that. I really don't get that, why they think video games is nothing but evil and stuff like that. It's nothing but bad things and stuff like that. Dude, video games is not all bad. I mean, honestly, video games is not all bad. As a matter of fact, video games is a good thing in more ways than one. Because, one, video games actually keeps people out of trouble. Think about it. If you have nothing to do, you're going to get bored. If you get bored, you're going to do stupid things. Let's face it, we've all been there where we've been bored enough and we'll do the stupidest of things possible. Then you have video games being a stress reliever. Like, say I had a hard day at work. I can at least come home, relax, put my feet up, put on some Call of Duty or something like that, and relax for the rest of the day. Just have some fun. That's what, you know, video games is supposed to do. And the fact that people use video games to these kind of extremities, like, think about it. Letting a grandmother go on a walk using Oculus because she can't do it anymore. Doing a food drive playing video games with 400 gamers. Basically getting one of the voice actors from Portal to basically help you do, and someone to design a level just to propose to your wife. It's like the news these days makes video games out to be like this grand evil when there are worse things out there, and I really don't get that. I really don't understand why the news makes it out that video games is evil, no kids should be playing them, no kids should be doing it, Why are you covering this stuff? Like, honestly, like, why are you making it out that video games is the grand evil when in reality there are worse things out there? We have kids who are smoking at the age of 7. We have kids doing graffiti around that same age. We have kids stealing and lying and other stuff like that, betraying their parents, killing their parents and other stuff like that. And you don't want to cover those news stories, but you want to cover the news stories where it talks about, oh, this kid killed someone because of video games, making it that video games do induce violence. I swear to God, these news channels really make me annoyed. Because they'll cover just about any bad video game story, but they won't cover any good video game stories. Like, nothing. They won't cover a story of how video games changed a person's life. They won't cover a story about how video games helped out the poor and the hungry. They won't cover a story where video games, like, do this and that for everybody else. They won't cover stories where video games aren't seen as, like, an evil. I mean, if it has happened on news channels, I don't know of it. Because if it has happened, those are far and few between. I see and hear more stories about video games being evil, about it inducing violence and other stuff like that, than I do actually, you know, good stories and stuff like that. It just pisses me off that this generation that we're in, it makes it like video games is evil, when in reality, video games are not evil. I don't know, maybe I'm just singing to the choir or something like that, but I just wanted to get my thoughts out on this because I really feel like it's annoying because there's such good video game stories out there that help everybody, and yet every single news story that's brought out on like CNN, Fox, and other stuff like that, it's all about video games being bad and how video games induce violence. That's all we see on the news when it comes to video games, and that annoys me. Not much else for me to say. Go ahead and leave a comment below if you have anything to say on this subject, and that's really all I gotta say. So until next time, guys, I'm Keen47, aka Wolfkeen. This has been another edition of a Wolf's Word Special. So until next time, guys, take care.